Yotanwa, bringing in the hype in this chapter of Kingdom. Morale versus morale. That was a badass fucking speech. That really was. And I find it so entertaining to see Yotanwa finally taking charge, finally being in the spotlight, and just seeing how she commands her soldiers. We've heard stories. We've heard many things that Yotanwa has constantly conquered many tribes in the mountains. She's bannered them all into one army. We've heard this many times. And finally we're getting to see that in this chapter of Kingdom. When you see the enemy, when you see Zhao, they're sitting there, they're boosting the morale, they're trying to stand tall, fight up against what Quinn is trying to send after them. They seem like they can do it. They have this high morale because they realize that they might be able to perform a miracle. If they can hold out for a couple of days, everything will be fine. They need to be on the defensive. And we have seen personally, us, the readers of Kingdom, we have seen personally what morale can do for a soldier. Morale can make a soldier that's normally weak, or even a civilian that just is given a sword, turn into an absolute monster that may be able to destroy veteran soldiers. We have seen this at Sai, and this is something very similar to that, except instead of, Zhao being the one to attack, it's Zhao being the one to defend. Once again, we get to see another similarity to the previous arc, but this time it's in a different circumstance. It's the opposite positions. One side that was actually attacking is now defending, and the one that was defending is now attacking, and that's what we see in this chapter. So, in this case, we gotta look at the way this chapter presents it. Right now, Zhao, they have high morale. They have this morale to where they need to just last a couple of days and everything will be fine. In all honesty, they might be able to do that, depending on how the army attacks them. But we gotta remember one thing that really helped out at Sai, the king was there. The king of Quinn was there, and he boosted the morale of everyone there and allowed them to continue to charge and march and stay up and, surpass their limits and from what they normally would never have been able to do. That was thanks to the help of the king. But we gotta remember, in this fortress right now that Zhao is trying to defend, I don't think the king is there, and I don't think he would ever be there in the first place because we know how the king is. And you see the complete differences between the kings of both nations. For instance, the Zhao king, completely disgusting. This man is a scumbag, and he would never leave his bath. He would never come out there to go to a city and fight with them to his last breath. He would never do something like what we saw from our king at Sai. So when you think about it like this, if this place does not hold, it's thanks probably to the actions of the king. He might have been able to change something if he cared at all, but he did not at all, and so that's probably what's going to cause the outcome of whatever happens here. However, though, morale is a big factor. It can really change the tide of battle more than you think, and in this case, Yotanwa was someone that's constantly had to overcome many odds that's been placed before her, and someone that's constantly said, like, what you're doing is the unthinkable, what you're doing might be impossible. She has constantly surpassed everybody's expectations and united all of the mountain tribes under one single banner, and that army she has behind her is proof of that. And with the way she talks in this chapter, the way she has this big ass speech, it's like saying, okay, you guys want to have high morale? Fine, fuck you. I will do my speech and I'll boost my soldiers because they know how crazy I am, what I have done, and I've done some crazy things that nobody ever thought was possible at all. And so Yotanwa actually gives her speech and then just talks to all of her clan like, let's do this, let's bathe this land in their blood, and then everybody's roaring, the ground is shaking, even the actual allied soldiers like freaking Shin's unit is like, holy shit, this atmosphere, what the hell, it's getting louder. It just shows you how much pressure Yotanwa is putting on Zhao in their defense. Because you gotta imagine this, okay? If our soldiers are feeling that pressure from Yotanwa's soldiers and how they're roaring, just imagine the soldiers that are about to face up against that. There's nothing more terrifying than probably seeing someone have boosted morale and they're gonna charge at you with reckless abandon. And as you know, that many have probably heard stories about how mountain tribes are. They're savage people, that's what many people think about, like they're savage, they'll do anything, they'll eat their own people and shit like that. People think about that all the time, most likely. And so when you see a big ass army like this just, roaring in front of you, that's gonna scare the fuck out of you, because you're like, holy shit, this is just them. Look at the other army right behind them. If they fall, there's even more, and so everybody's gonna be terrified, and then the morale they just got is just gonna hit to 0. So right now, Yotanwa, she's playing mind games. She's fucking with the morale, and she's doing morale versus morale, beating them at their own game of what they were trying to do. And I do like how Yotanwa was saying the strategy of what they need to do. A siege is very simple. You just gotta climb the wall, you go over the wall, get to the gate, open the gate, go in, capture, you know, the entire fortress. I'm like, yeah, on paper that sounds simple. And that's even what Shin and them were saying. Like, that sounds simple when you say it, but it's really not that easy. I mean, you go charging in like that, you're gonna get fucking wrecked. And I mean, that's the cold hard truth. But this is Yotanwa. She has constantly done some crazy things. She has sieged many tribes, mountain tribes. Now, we gotta remember, mountain tribes, they live in the mountains. What is a fortress in a way? It's kind of like a mini hill, a mini mountain, because you have to siege over a wall. So, obviously, Yotanwa has skills in overcoming obstacles like a wall. So, when you think about something like this, it's obvious that what's going on here is probably child's play for Yotanwa and being able to overcome this fortress before her, because she has probably conquered many, many other cities in the mountains that are way above this level of, you know, defense. I mean, look at what we saw when Yotanwa, you know, at her capital, like, you know, her home, you know, place, and where she used to actually be at in the earlier portions of Kingdom. We saw how, you know, advanced her civilization was. It was way above what we thought the mountain tribes had at the time, and so if something like that was for her, you know, home city, imagine what she has had to conquer over the many years that she's been leading the mountain tribe. So something like this is probably nothing at all. In all honesty, Shin might not even really have a part to play in this, because of how crazy Yotanwa is and how she can use her men to overcome these mountains before them. So let's speak about Shin's role for a second, okay? Shin said that you got the hardest job. He was, for instance, talking about Yotanwa. You have the hardest job because you're having to throw your men up there like up against a blender. That's kind of what you're doing. You're throwing your men up there just to get completely assaulted, eviscerated, and there's nothing you really can do about it. You're just going to continuously throw men out there until finally something budges. That's normally what you would have to do. And he's like, you got the hard job. You're sacrificing all your men. And then Yotanwa, it's simple enough, and Shin just has to charge in with his army straight through the gate, which is the easiest out of all of them, because once the gate is open, it's pretty simple. You just get in, you push the enemies out, and then you start capturing and taking more of the territory while you're in there, and you overwhelm the enemy. And even if Shin somehow gets in there and like his men start dwindling down to like almost 0, at the very least there's more of Quinn's army to come in and back them up. So it's completely over once the gate opens, and Shin realizes this. So like, you're doing the hard job, you sure you want to do this, but Yotanwa has complete confidence that everything will be fine. So quite an epic chapter. I love Yotanwa's character. I love seeing her in this chapter and just having that badass speech, leading the charge with her men, and she's just saying what you need to do, bathe the land in their blood. Like, yo, like, that shit is fucking epic. So yeah, Chapter of Kingdom. This chapter was so good. Oh my God, it was so good. I really cannot wait to see exactly how Yotanwa's men fights and how they're going to scale the wall and stuff, because I've always loved the mountain tribes since they were introduced earlier on in Kingdom, and I'm just interested to see them actually go into full-scale combat, what we've seen like Shin's unit do. I'd love to see what Yotanwa's unit does and how they fight in big-ass wars. I can't wait to see what's going to happen next to upcoming chapters. Let me know your honest thoughts in the comments below, and I love you all so much. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.